Basics of dispute resolution and arbitration. This is the topic, as Naren explained about myself. This is my qualification and all. Just don't worry about that. We'll move to the agenda tonight. Basically, to start with, I will tell you why the dispute coming. What is the reason dispute coming into the construction industry? There are many reasons. I'm not going to explain them in very much detail, but I'm going to glance on that, and I'll give you an idea so you can understand what is the reason behind. So why we want to find out this reason is that when you are doing your construction contracts document, you have to avoid these things, and you have to advise your client and your employers to avoid this happening, so that we can reduce the dispute in the construction industry. Then we'll move on to the introduction of basics of dispute resolution. Here I am going to read you some slides that will explain you why we cannot use traditional dispute resolution methods such as litigation and arbitration in the construction contract easily. There are many reasons. I will explain them. So why not litigation then? The third topic. Litigation cannot be used in construction contract. It can be used, but there are some difficulties. I will explain you them in that number 3 topics. Then we'll move on to the alternative dispute resolution method. As I said under topic number 2, you will see how I'll bring it to ADR. Then I will explain there some of the methods that we use in the day-to-day business and all around the world. Then we'll move on to expert determination and arbitration. Adjudication and arbitration under FIDIC, that 2017 version and that 1999 version. Basically here, if you see that 1999 version, I'm not going to talk about it much, because 2017 version has well covered the same thing in 1990 version. It has too much improved in this version, so that we don't want to go back to 1990 version, 99 version, and explain it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me move to the topic tonight. Why dispute arising in construction industry, construction contract? These are the general reasons. If you take, I will go into the next slide and explain why contractor, how contractor, consultant, and subcontractors participate to this one. But here, I will describe you what are the general reasons. If you take any construction contract, those are confrontational, which mean to say there are some right and obligation for either parties. So that when we ask something from the contractor, and he will come with argument. So it is always adversarial nature of the construction contract is there. So that this difficulty is always giving us some trouble in coordination and everything, everywhere that is there. And the second reason is poor communication. If you take people, particularly professional in the construction industry, they will not properly coordinate among them. So that client will ask something, and eventually what is going to the contract is something completely different. So client will request for some requirement from the PMCM team and the design. If he do not, he here, the employer, do not say what he wants properly, the designer will design something, and PMCM team will review the same, depend on the original design brief received from the employer, and pass that information to the contractor. So contractor come up with a proposal, and that will end up in a dispute, and okay, we have wasted our time. And if we start constructing that particular design, we are in a construction project, and while we are doing some changes, in such nature, there are, due to the poor communication, sometimes there are disputes arising. And also multiplying form of contracts and warranties in the industry. There are many. If you take a construction contract project, it will last for 3 to 4 years, sometimes a mega project, to say. So in that way, if you take a project, as example, now we have a project here in Qatar for the LED panels for Pipa World Cup. The project was started 2 years back, but by now, LED panels specification has been changed, their warranty period has been changed, and originally what they have given is not there anymore. So that this thing will give a rise to dispute. If we do not properly handle it, it will go into the subsequent stages like arbitration and litigation. and fragmentation in the industry. Same like in the warranties and contracts thing. Here, what is happening in the industry? There are always the industry's parts, breaking down into small pieces. Like if you take one subcontractor who was doing previously MEP and LVE things, now he is doing only LVE. Likewise, there are many separation in the industry, so that original 10-day stage what we had for the price has been completely different now. So that dispute coming up. Differences, this is the most important point, is the last one. Differences in tendering policies and procedures in the supply chain. So basically, client and contractor as the main contractor. After that, contractor will go into the industry to find out people to do the work. The contract between the client and client and the contractor, and the contract between the supply chain is completely different. So that at the 10-day stage, contractor will go and find a quotation from someone and put the price in. When he really going to do the job, that particular contractor has been died. He is no more available. The supply is gone. Now he has to bring up another person who do the thing. He will not agree to the original procedure that had in the original tender. So that what happened, contractor will end up in a disastrous situation. Vice versa, this is happening so that the dispute are coming up. These are the reasons by employer. As I said before, poor briefing at the design stage, changes and variation. He will ask for when he see new technology, or when he see new thing, he will come and ask, okay, can we do that? But when we are reaching there, we are almost gone halfway. We cannot do that without doing abortive works, without abortive design. So that again, disputes coming up. And changes to the standard condition of contract. This is something very important, what I want to say. After seeing your question throughout the previous sessions, when we take a condition of contract out of the cells and use it, as example, FIDIC, ICE, JCT, NCE, new engineering contract, any form of contract we can take out from the cells and use it. But remember one thing, this contract has been developed in a particular part of the world, so that this particular form of contract has to be changed to match to the project that we are in the country. As example, if we take FIDIC condition of contract that has been developed in Belgium and French background, so if you take the climatic condition of those countries, if you take the legal requirement of those countries and the authority requirement of those countries are completely different. And when we come to this part of the world, those are completely different. So we have to change our standard form of contract where the risk has been distributed properly to balance this requirement. Now we have to change. So we are changing it without thinking about the other clauses or the specification or anything. We change it. And eventually we'll find out there is a problem somewhere. So that dispute comes up. Interface in the contractual duties of the contract administrator. This is another reason. When client involved in the project, if PMCM consultant, project management and construction management consultant working as the contract administrator, he will come and try to interface with him. And he's trying to do something by force. He's trying to please do this. But we cannot do it according to the contract. We have to abide by the contract and do it. So that dispute coming up and the late payment. These are some of the reasons. It is not a comprehensive list. I just want to give you an idea. That's why I put them together. So here, employer, owner, developer, the same person I'm talking about. Let us go to the next one, consultant. Consultant, if you take a consultant, what is happening? Consultant, always they do their best. But if they don't do a proper design, and while we are going on the construction project, there will be a lot of issues. So that inadequate design will give rise to the disputes. Inappropriate competencies and experience. As example, if you take a person who work in a construction supervision consultancy firm, who is a fresh graduate who don't have enough experience and exposure, he will come and do inspection at site and give some comment to those inspection and say, okay, please do this, please do that. But He don't have the proper experience of this part of the world or where he working. Now there's a dispute coming up. Contractor will come back to the office saying, firing, what is this? Why we want to do this? We didn't do it before. It is not in accordance with the contract. So the dispute coming up. And late and incomplete information. When we are going on the design, we have to give additional information to the contractor throughout the program. Throughout the program, there are different information that contractors are supposed to receive to complete the project on time. If I give you an example, contractors are supposed to get some additional resources, additional some material from client. He has to purchase the material and give it to contractor. As example, we'll take chiller unit that he has to purchase it from German or somewhere and bring it and give it to him. But client does not finalize this one for a long period. Until the last moment he stay, and eventually he will bring something completely different to the contract, so that this incomplete information and late information will bring up a lot of issues, because contractor is almost ready to install that particular plan. Lack of coordination. Lack of coordination in the sense, when we go to site, there are many issues at the site. Some contractors, this is due to basically the language barriers. This thing is coming up. If you take in this part of the world, if you go to a site, you will find more than 70, 80 different nationalities working in the industry. So that if we don't use the proper language convincing power to pass the message, there will be confusion. So that the coordination will stop. If you don't understand their culture, how to talk to them, it will end up in poor coordination. He will never cooperate with you if you insult their culture. This is lack of coordination always happening, so the dispute coming up. Uncertainty and inappropriate delegation of responsibility. Sometimes if you take the employer, he has to delegate some power to the engineer. So once we award the contract, as example, after signing the LOA, some contractors, some client, they will use their original tender document and compile them together and make the contract ready and sign it. But some contractors in this part of the world, basically in Middle East region, they will come up with a completely new, cleaned up contract document, so that the signing of the contract will take mostly late time. So that it will sometime take, for a good big project, it will take 3 to 6 months. Small project, maybe within a month it will be done, clear contract copy will be ready. Also, the point is, when these documents are getting ready, we have to give the delegation of authority to the relevant parties in the project management team, as well as in the design consultant team, as well as in the supervision consultant team. If employer do not delegate these powers to the relevant people, they cannot take the proper action in the correct time. And sometimes client will reserve his right to sign any papers, to give instruction, to give any notification to the contractor. He will stop, okay, you have to take my permission before you proceed. If you don't get the certain and proper delegation of responsibility, this will create problem. This is from the consultant side. Here I put together both together contractor and the subcontractor. Basically the same thing: inadequate site management, poor planning and programming, poor standard of workmanship, dispute with the subcontractors, delay payment to the subcontractors, lack of coordination, as we discussed before, mismatch of the subcontractors' condition with the main contractor's condition. This is something very, very important, which we discussed before about the tendering procedures. It's the same thing. So if we have a back-to-back contract, as example, the main contractor's condition as is passing to the subcontractor. Sometimes subcontractors, good subcontractors, they will not agree to those conditions. Mr. Contractor, okay, for him, he is the client. Main contractor will be the client for the subcontractor. The subcontractor will say to the main contractor, Mr. Main Contractor, yes, it is your term for payment is 50 days under the contract, 48 days under the contract. But for me, I need my payment within 30 days. Otherwise, I cannot manage my supply chain because I have to pay my salaries within 2 weeks' time. Every 2 weeks, I pay them. So what is happening here? If we don't keep this flow, it will automatically stop. Subcontractors, people will not get the payment on time, so the dispute coming up. Okay, let us move. Okay, right. As Nalin always requested me to put something in Sinhala, I will say something in Sinhala here. Basically, okay, අපි මෙතනදී කතා කරන්න උත්සාහ කරේ dispute එකක් ඇති වෙන්න construction contracts වල dispute එකක් ඇති වෙන්න බලපාන හේතු. ඒ හේතු එන්න බලපාන parties කීපයක් ඉන්නේ. ඒකෙන් ප්‍රධාන එක්කෙනා තමයි project එකේ අයිතිකාරයා. එහෙම නැත්නම් employer, එයාට ඕන කියන්න පුළුවන් developer. It is depend on the contract what you use. This name has been used. එතකොට මේ කට්ටියගෙන් එන reasons තමයි අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. මේ reasons හින්දා තමයි dispute arise වෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපි good contract administrator කෙනෙක් නම්, good project manager කෙනෙක් නම්, good project engineer කෙනෙක් නම්, project director කෙනෙක් නම්, we have to identify these reasons. And when we are අපි අලුත් project එකකට යනකොට අපිට ගිහිල්ලා මේ දේවල් නැති කරන්න ඕනේ contract document එක හරහා. ඒක තමයි requirement එක. ඒකට තමයි අපි මේ දේවල් දැනගෙන ඉන්නේ. ඔයා consultant කෙනෙක් ගාව වැඩ කරනවා නම් මේ වගේ දේවල් නොවෙන්න, මේ වගේ කරුණු ඇති නොවෙන්න වැඩ කරන්න. That is the most important thing. එතකොට contractor subcontractor ගාව වැඩ කරනවා නම් හැමතිස්සෙම දැනගන්න ඕනේ අපිට තියෙන contract එක subcontractor pass කරලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි ඒක තමයි happen වෙන්නේ. කොච්චර කරත් ඒක happen වෙන්නේ. එතකොට subcontractor එයාට වැඩ කරගෙන යන්න බෑ supply chain එක තියාගෙන. Right, let us move to the next topic. Introduction to basic dispute resolution. Mama make here I am going to talk little bit in detail and I am going to read all of these things and explain it to you. Okay, in principle, the parties to any dispute are free to choose their own method of resolving the dispute. Here, what is happening? Okay, party autonomy will come into act. If myself and another person are agreeing to resolve our dispute in a way that will go to a person in the road and will tell him this story. This is what happened. What is your solution? If he give the solution and me and him accepted that solution, that is our party autonomy. We will go with it and we will bind by it. So basically, what is happening? This approach, the two approaches conventionally used in the construction contracts are litigation and arbitration. I mean, this is from long time. If we take litigation and arbitration is the only solution we have for day-to-day dispute resolution. The construction contract also same, or I'm talking ancient time, long back. So the difficulty with both litigation and arbitration is that they are costly and time-consuming. In general context, can only be started after the contract has either been completed or completely broken down. So here what we're trying to say, litigation or arbitration can be only started after some time. So that we have to stop our construction. We have to stop, either we have to break down our contract and then go to the litigation or arbitration. This cannot be done. So that there are new development, new things coming up and it has been properly laid down into new condition of contract. Particularly recently, it is nicely happening like in PDIC 2017. Here, I have shown you something, litigation, refer to the item number 3 of the PowerPoint presentation. Under item number 3 of this presentation, I'll talk about litigation. So I'll explain you there what is it. Right, introduction basing, okay. Again, in addition to the judgment of the court, an award by arbitrator is frequently obtained years after contract has been completed to abandon. The same case as litigation. So arbitration, there is no set time period. It will take its own time, but it will be easier than litigation. We'll talk about it. There has therefore long been view that conventional dispute resolution approaches did not adequately meet the need for parties in construction contract. That's why we are trying to find out what are the solutions for it. This was particularly evident in the case of complex construction contract. Listen to me here very carefully. Understand the difficulties of huge complex contract. The client will borrow, as example, American dollar 3-4 billion worth of money he will find. He has some money and he will borrow from somewhere and he will invest this money and he will sell off the plan some properties, but his apartment, his shopping mall, his retail spaces, he will sell beforehand and earn some money to invest in the project. So when he is embarking on the project, he has already committed from other parties as well as the bank and the financial institution. If something goes wrong, if something stops this project, he has to be responsible for those people. So there's a big problem in the mega construction project if that happens to the problem. So when embarking on a project, entering into a relationship with another party where a huge risk is involved, we have to think very carefully and have a solution and method involved in the construction contract itself to resolve our dispute. That's why new form of contract always coming up with the new method of dispute resolution. Let us move fast. Okay, then trying to think about the method of dispute resolution is with, okay, here what we are trying to say, you can read this, I will say it, I will explain it. Basically, when our relationship is good, we can agree anything. But once it is ruined, we cannot do anything. Even we cannot agree the day of the week. Even that we will argue. If we come to that situation, can we agree a method to resolve our dispute? No, we cannot. So the good time to have a dispute resolution mechanism built into your construction contract is when the relationship is good, which means at the beginning of the project. So in the view of the above, there was plainly a need for dispute resolution technique which are timely and had element of informality and could be brought quickly into play application, which means, okay, dispute resolution system should be there in a construction contract, which is not that formal and it can be brought into action very quick. Let us find out more. So accordingly, your body of dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution, ADR, and other techniques has been developed to meet this need. If you see here, I am telling alternative dispute resolution, ADR, which are mentioned here, and other techniques has been developed. I told you in my first slide about expert determination, arbitration, and adjudication. Those are not mentioned here. These alternative dispute resolution, ADR, I took them as mediation, negotiation, mediation, and conciliation. This last four, basically, yes, practicing in the industry, not for construction mostly. Okay, last four are coming up in insurance. They are coming up in rent agreement. They are coming up in, you know, what do you call it? International trades, like, you know, ship hiring and no, chartering and no, private trial. Also, private trial is a mechanism that you can hire your own judge to do it. So you can find out those information. I'm not going to talk about them. That's why it are not applicable tonight. Okay. Before we go to the next section, let me give you explanation about this one in Sinhala. What is happening? මෙතෙන්දි මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? අපි basically අපිට construction contract එක කරගෙන යනකොට litigation වලින් විතරක් අපිට අපේ තියෙන dispute නැති කරගන්න බෑ. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි litigation කියන එක ගත්තොත් කරන්නේ government එකෙන්. එයාලගේ timing වලට තමයි අපිට වැඩ කරන්නේ. එයාලගේ වෙලාවල් වලට තමයි අපිට time හම්බෙන්නේ construction project එක කොච්චර ලොකු වුණත් ඒක රටේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න තරම් ලොකු නැහැ. එතකොට අපිට සිද්ධ වෙනවා wait කරන්න එයාලා අපිට time එකක් දෙනකම්. එතකොට මම අර මුලදී කිව්වා වගේ අපේ client already committed for many other things. එයා already sell කරලා තියෙනවා මේ property එක. සමහර තැන් වලින් ණයට සල්ලි අරගෙන තියෙනවා. financial institution වලින් ණයට සල්ලි අරන් තියෙනවා. ඒවට එයා ගෙවන්නවා. එතකොට මේකෙදි මොනවා හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇවිල්ලා construction project එක නැවතුනොත් ඒක ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයකට මුහුණ දෙන්න වෙනවා client. ඒකින්ද අපි project එකක වෙනකොට අපි project එකක් පටන් ගන්නකොට අපිට මුලදිම හිතන්න වෙනවා මුලදිම relationship එක අපේ හොඳ වෙන කාලෙදී හොඳට තියෙන කාලෙදී අපිට definitely tend stage එකට කලින් මේක trend එකට දාලා අපිට dispute resolution method එකක් හදා ගන්න වෙනවා අපේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න විසඳ ගන්න. ඒකින්ද ඔයාලා ගත්තොත් middle east region එකේ තියෙන ගොඩක් contractorsලා මේ standard forms use කරන්නේ නැහැ. Nakil gattot, Ema gattot, they have their own bespoke contract, which are matching with their own condition. ඒවා කවදාවත් වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයාලා පොඩි changes කරනවා ඊළඟ project වලට යනකොට. නමුත් ඕනම ලොකු contractor කෙනෙක් මාකට් එකේ ඉන්න දන්නවා මේ condition එක මේකයි කියලා. අපි engineersලා විදිහට හෝ quantity surveyorsලා විදිහට හෝ ගිහිල්ලා try කරනවා නම් මේ standard form එකකින් predict එකකින් එන process හොයන්න no, you are going to fail. Never think of it. predict කියන එක සමහර construction contract වල you take kata, take any big contract, Kata Radia, Musrif Properties, QPA, Kata Petroleum, Kata Foundation, they have their own condition of contract. එයාලට condition of contract තියෙනවා එයාලගේ මේවා. ඒවා හදලා තියෙන්නේ මේ රටට ගැලපෙන විදිහට. අපි ඒක දැනගන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මම මෙතෙන්ද කියන්න try කරන්නේ එයාලා develop කරගෙන තියෙනවා එයාලට ගැලපෙන dispute resolution method එක. එයාලා believe කරන dispute resolution method එක. එතකොට මෙහි PW එක Public Works Authority එක ගත්තොත් එයාලා use කරන්නේ litigation. Straight away to litigation. එයාලගේ ඇතුලේ තියෙන engineer හරහා resolve කරගන්න හදන මේක ගොඩක් වැඩි. ඒකේ බැරිනු litigation යනවා කියලා තමයි කෙලිම කියලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට contractor ඇත්තටම කියනවා නම් අපි මේ method එක දාගන්නවට වැඩිය he's PW එක කරන්නේ එයාගේ muscles use කරනවා. උඹට මේක ඕනේ නැත්නම් yeah I don't want it කියලා contractor terminate වෙන තැන තමයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට contractor automatically start කරනවා cooperate කරන්න. cooperate කරලා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ engineer එක්ක කතා කරලා ඒ stage එකට විසඳ ගන්නවා. engineer ගේ mechanism එක already contract එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. Right, let us move on. Okay, this section is litigation. Why not litigation? මම මේක වැඩිපුර විස්තර කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. මම මේ slide ටික දැම්මේ ඔයාලට තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන හින්දා. So okay, why not litigation? Take place in court. The trial, the third party involvement trained in law. Action is started by issuing a right. A copy of right must be saved in depend, must be proved in balance of probability. What is happening in the court is always legal people, what they are trying to do, they will try to take your case and try to use their all the logics and argument and try to prove themselves with the balance of probability. No one is going to find out what is the truth. They are just trying to prove their case. So the powerful lawyer will always win the case. So that this litigation is not going to help us in construction contract. These are the advantages. I think I missed a slide. Okay. See, advantages, final resolution subject only to appeal, no expenses for judgment. This is the only advantage in, not like in other cases. Here we have this advantage. Disadvantages are here, lengthy period of time, expenses of legal fees, possibly corruptibility. Will decision be accepted outside the court's country? This is a very big problem. Okay, there are multinational companies coming into play in construction project. When we give a court decision, can the court decision take and go and implement in their particular country? The contractor come in here with his own resources just to do the construction project in Qatar or in UAE or Oman. But after the court decided that, okay, Mr. Contractor, you are wrong, you have to pay this money, thus he has his resources here. So we have to take this court decision and go to their own country and try to implement and impose it. Can we do that? We cannot do. The court decision coming from Sri Lanka cannot be implemented anywhere other than one of the countries. I can't remember. There is a treaty. If there is a treaty between two countries, yes, we can implement that one. Otherwise, we cannot. That's why arbitration has New York Convention, which we will talk a little later. Okay, litigation. Why not litigation? I have put some other reason. I'm not going to read one by one because I have to complete on time. There are many other things to discuss. Okay, let me go this. You can read these things and find out what are the reasons. There are a lot of reasons why not litigation in the construction contract. Okay, let us move to alternative dispute resolution. As we said in the ADR, මම මෙතෙන්දි චුට්ටක් සිංහලෙන් කියන්නම්. කෝඩ් සිස්ටම් එක යූස් කරන්න ගියොත් මම අර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ අපිට හරිම අමාරුවක් වෙනවා. මොකද අපිට ටයිම් හම්බෙන්නේ කෝඩ් සිස්ටම් එකේ ගවර්න්මන්ට් එකට ගැලපෙන විදිහට. ඒකම කෝඩ් සිස්ටම් එකේදී lawyers ලා හැමතිස්සෙම try කරන්නේ එයාලට තියෙන evidence අරගෙන balance of probability එකකින් පුළුවන් තරම් තමන්ගේ case එක win කරන්න අවශ්‍ය කරන කරුණු හොයාගෙන ඒක prove කරන්න හදන නිසා කවදාවත් මේක ඇත්ත මොකක්ද කියන එක හොයන්න හදන්නේ නැහැ legal system එකේ. That's what happening. What legal system is believing that, okay, the balance of probability coming up, that is the correct decision, correct thing to do. So that ඒකින්ද තමයි litigation එක අපිට ගැලපෙන්නේ නැත්තේ construction contract වලට. It will take longer time, as well as proving the case is not done by experts like in construction industry. It is done by some lawyers who are trained for that purpose. Okay, let us go to the next topic. Alternative dispute resolution method. Include the method to resolve the dispute outside of the official judicial mechanism, the litigation. This one include the method to dispute resolution, like what we wanted. Here's a picture coming up. So if you go into litigation, you will well into the pit. There are many other methods, mediation, negotiation, and arbitration to resolve the dispute. So here are the method: negotiation, mediation, conciliation, investment. As I said, I'm not going to talk about those things. So let us talk about negotiation. Negotiation is thing that we will start. Here's one negotiation: children, fighting with his father. We will go for litigation, not the negotiation. So negotiation, two groups disagree on an issue. Only the two parties come together mutually for mutual benefit or agreement. Participation is voluntary. People solve their conflict alone. If they don't agree, so what we are trying to say here, if two parties in a dispute, if they are trying to negotiate that, what will happen? They will go and talk about it. They will try to convince themselves and try to resolve the issue. But it won't happen. It won't happen because always parties trying to take their benefit, so they cannot resolve their own problem alone themselves. But there is something very good in this part of the world. There are some companies, as I said in the bespoke contract, what they do, there is a different method of negotiation. What they do, as example, some companies, they have a dispute resolution mechanism as they call it senior management committee. Senior management committee is a committee that they automatically assign when the contract is signed at that stage. A person in the same organization, if I take Muslim Properties as one developer, he will appoint one of the person who is a senior person, like a CEO or maybe a CFO, somebody who is not completely involved in the project. And the other side, the contractor also will take somebody in their organization who is not signing the papers, who is not involved in anything, and he is another person coming from a different background. He don't involve in this project at all. So these two people get together and try to resolve the matter. This is one of the methods of negotiation that are usually found in this part of the world of many construction companies. It's a negotiation. So let us move to the other one. So I'm not going to negotiate with you. Then I'm going to pee on your carpet. So this is what? This is the disagreement in negotiation. Okay, that's why we have mediation. Mediation, what happened in the mediation role, a mediator will come. He will come and help the parties to resolve their dispute. He will support in a way somehow to break their gaps. Basically, in some point they cannot coordinate properly. He will try to stop them. The essence of the mediation is that the voluntary and non-binding. This non-binding thing I will explain a little bit later now. Here, both parties are brought together with an independent third party known as a mediator or natural. There are strict rules for evidence of procedure. There are no strict rules for the evidence and procedures. Mediator does not have the power to impose a decision. He could suggest a solution but never impose it. The mediator cannot impose a decision on the parties. Once the parties have agreed for the mediation, they must find a mediator who is acceptable and who has the right characters to deal with the case. So once the two parties agree for mediation, they have to find the correct person to resolve their dispute with the correct expert knowledge. Party controls the outcome. Mediator cannot compel the agreement, which means he cannot just, mediator will not involve in anything. He will just show the right and wrong to both the parties. He will meet the people separately and he will give the guidance separately and go with it. Okay, let me go to the next slide. Okay, so here's a divorce mediation. It's only win-win if I win twice. So that's always the case. Mediation, continue. Selection of a good mediator. The good mediator could be always a good problem solver, contractor training experience. Check the mediator training and experience. He should have these requirements to be a good mediator. I'm not going to wait. I'm always checking my time. I want to complete on time. So these are the reason for, these are the requirements to select a good mediator. What does mediator do? The mediator, as I explained before, he will explore the issue and needs and settlement the option. Convincing, bring parties together. Encourage the productive communication. Accelerate the negotiation. Identify the option for resolution. Diffuse the hostilities and create positive atmosphere. This is one of the big things the mediator do. He has to make a positive environment, because always the party tied in a deadlock, they cannot move because they are in a deadlock, they don't cooperate. So that's one of the mediator's great job. Right, mediation, do mediation, don't litigate. That's as I explained before. Right, type of mediation, there are different type of mediation: facilitative, evaluative, muscles, and transformative. These are different type. He just facilitate the process. Sometimes he will do a little bit evaluation and give the option to both the parties separately. He will use his muscles. Mediator uses appropriate status, position, and experience to pursue the first recommendation proposal. This is a different type. If the two parties agreed, okay, this person is a good one, we'll give him a chance to come up with the proposed solution. Yes, if the parties agree, they can do it. So eventually, though I will talk it after this one. Transformative means the mediator works to resolve the strength and the transformation of relationship, so the parties can deal with the issue by themselves. This is one of the way. So as I said before, at the beginning of this one, it is not binding. Not binding in the sense the decision or the outcome of the mediation is not automatically binding. But if the parties agree to do that, okay, the decision is agreed between the parties, it is automatically binding on them. And once the time passes to resolve the time period given in the construction contract for dispute resolution, it is automatically binding forever. So these are the type, and these are the advantages and disadvantages. I put them together. Maybe if you are one of you going to do some professional qualification one day, like PMP or CIOB or RICS, you will need these things. So I just keep them there. And if you take the mediation centers in Middle East, these are some of them. Qatar, they have Qatar International Court of Dispute Resolution Center, and same like in Dubai, UAE, also in Oman, there are centers. You can use this link and go and read them. And I explain you the mediation. I'll say something about the mediation here. In Sinhala, mediator ke role එක එයා කරන්නේ basically තමන්ගේ requirement. එයා try කරනවා parties දෙක අතර තියෙන gap එක අඩු කරන්න. අඩු කරලා ඒ දෙන්නම එකට ගෙනල්ලා එක position එකකට ගෙනල්ලා එයාලගේ තියෙන එක්කෙන හැමතිස්සෙම ඒ දෙන්න ප්‍රශ්නේ අරගෙන තමන්ගේ පැත්ත විතරක් බලාගෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ කතා කරනවා, ඒක resolve කරගන්න try කරන්නේ. එතකොට mediator කරන්නේ අනිත් පැත්තට ගිහිල්ලා පෙන්නලා දෙනවා. ඒක කරන්නේ තනියම ගිහිල්ලා කතා කරන්නේ පාර්ටි දෙකට එකට කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ මීඩියේට. එයා වෙන වෙනම ගිහිල්ලා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. ඔයාගේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ආ මේ කියන එක වැරදි. අරයට මේක බ්‍රේක් කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ වගේ දේවල් තියෙනවා. එහෙම කියලා දෙන්නම එක තැනකට ගෙන්න try කරන එක තමයි මීඩියේට කරන්නේ. එතකොට මීඩියාගේ decision එක final and binding නෙමෙයි, decision එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයා sorry. එයාගේ outcome එකෙන් එන final solution එක parties දෙක agree වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඒක binding වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක final and binding decision එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඊට අමතරව මෙතන තියෙනවා mediation centers කටා වල, එතකොට ඔමාන් වල, UAE වල තියෙන centers වල links ටික ඒවා ගිහිල්ලා ඔයාලට බලන්න පුළුවන් how they do that. Okay, conciliation. There is only one slide for conciliation. It is very similar to mediation, but only thing, mediation and conciliation are the essential same and following the same procedures. So I'm not going to explain that one here. The practical difference is that the conciliator has more attractive role. He will contribute to the discussion between the parties and will express his view on the merits of the respective case. Does not meet the parties in private session. Previous case I said, mediator, he will meet the parties separately. But here, he does not meet the parties in private session. මෙයා මෙතෙන්දි කරන්නේ impose කරනවා decision එක parties දෙකට but in front of both the parties. මෙන්න මේක තමයි හොඳ solution එක. ඔයාගේ facts මේවා ඔයාගේ your facts are this one, my facts are this one, so solution is this. Okay. Say in Sinhala also. එතකොට මෙයා කරන්නේ conciliator කරන්නේ එයා facts ටික අරගෙන පෙන්නනවා දෙගොල්ලන්ට මෙන්න මේකයි තත්ත්වය මේ solution එකට තමයි ඔයාලට යන්න තියෙන්නේ. And he will show it and he will try to convince the parties. Also, this decision is not final and binding. If the parties agree, they can make it final and binding on themselves. Otherwise, it is not final and binding. Right. Mama Singhal and the Q. So I'll go to the next section. Expert determination. Dispute is resolved by the independent third party who has a particular experience in the field, which is which the dispute arises. As example, here, for a particular engineer or a particular quantity surveyor or particular structural engineer, he has special capabilities. If he investigates into the matter and find the facts about it, he will be given enough authority and enough powers to do anything in the project and go and find out the information and give a decision. It is common method of dealing with the rent reviewing lease agreement and construction contract for special construction. As I said, if it is a special construction, that method will be a good one. So these are the ways characteristics of expert determination. The best thing, the last 3 points which I have highlighted in red, the decision is final. Once the expert come and find out the issue and give a decision, the decision is final and binding on the parties. They cannot do anything other than they can prove this particular person had some biased position towards the other party and he did not have the correct experience and the exposure to settle the matter. If they can prove it in front of the court, only they can take it out. Otherwise, the decision is final and binding. So going for expert determination, some sort of risky. And if you want to do that, you want to find the correct person. Okay. Expert determination can special genetic karma there. Site take a complete documentation and the project take a decision a decision like a final and binding on the parties. No one can change it unless you go back. Vote take a decision like a change or procedure to complete of interest at the Bonakela and make a that is expert determination. Okay, guys, going into the arbitration. Okay, arbitration is area that if we want to talk about, it need at least a day or two just to give you a minimum understanding. So what I'm trying to do tonight, give you some eye openings and some things I'll show you, and maybe some information are not completely here because within this short period I cannot talk. There is no point of putting those information into the slide because we will never understand. So that what I'll do, I'll just say what is the definition which I took. The definition is coming from different places. I took from one of the books, but if you take New Convention or International Central Arbitration Law, everywhere, even the Sri Lanka has the Arbitration Act coming in 1995. That has been defined, what is arbitration, what arbitration mean and what arbitration agreement means. Those information are in there. Particularly, I'm talking to first graduate in my understanding by watching the previous slide. If you are embarking on the arbitration thing, it will be years after you joining a project. So wasting time on that one, I don't think it is much necessary at this stage, but I will give you a glance on it and give you some sort of idea. So how this can be defined? A special established mechanism for the final and binding determination of a dispute concerning a contractual law, other relationship with an international element by independent arbitrator in accordance with the procedure, structure, and substantive legal and non-legal standard chosen directly or indirectly by the parties. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have to listen to me very carefully. Okay, if you take litigation, the litigation has a substantive law the law of the country that the litigation is happening. If I take Qatar, Qatar has a civil code, and there are some other laws and the procedures established in Qatar for governing any special case or any special construction project. So when I'm getting a decision from the court, that decision coming in matching with the laws of this country. Also, court to operate. If the court is operating, there is a procedure. That procedure has been always followed. That according to that procedure, only the decision is coming. So court system operate in a procedure, in a way, in a method. There is a procedure to operate the particular dispute, and the law applicable for countries, that country's law. So here what I'm trying to show you, when we are doing the arbitration also, we have a substantive law, the law applicable for the case. As a example, if we have a construction contract between Sri Lanka and China, the project is happening in Sri Lanka, so the law applicable for the case is law of Sri Lanka, for sure. But if you are trying to do the arbitration, it is not good we do the arbitration in Sri Lanka, because the procedure followed for the arbitration, same like which I said just now for court system, they have a separate procedure to run the court system. Similarly, to run the arbitration, there's a procedure. That procedures are available throughout everywhere in the world. So you can go to any part of the world and do arbitration. But remember, they will use the law of the particular country to resolve the dispute, but governing law of the arbitration, procedure of the arbitration will be from that particular center. As example, International Chamber of Commerce. For example, DAC in Dubai, it's an arbitration center. Another example, Qatar International Court of Arbitration. So those places, they have their set rule to run arbitration, but the law deciding the case will be the substantive law. That's why it's explained here by an independent arbitrator. If you go to the international arbitration in another country, the international arbitrators will do the job. They will do a proper job without buying either to the China or Sri Lanka. So arbitrators are coming from, we'll say, Portugal, or they are coming from Dubai, they are coming from any other country. There is no reason to bias on either side, and they will do a good job. They want to keep their name, and the procedures applicable for operating the arbitration is coming from that particular institution. If both the parties trust in that place, yes, you can go there and do it. Particularly in our part of the world, we are going to Singapore for that. Okay, that's what this definition is trying to say. I hope you understand. Okay, basic feature of arbitration. There are 4 important features of arbitration which form the very basis of the dispute resolution process. They are agreement to arbitrate. There should be agreement to arbitrate, choice of the arbitrators, bring the nature of the arbitrator, arbitral panels, arbitrators' decision. The binding nature of the arbitrators panel, and the arbitration decision. The enforcement of the award. Right. The arbitration agreement. If you want to go for arbitration, we want to have an arbitration agreement. This arbitration agreement can be in the condition of contract or can be in the original construction contract. It has to contain some wording to say that the arbitrate, if there is a, I will show you at the end of using Predict 2017 how the condition they have written in. They have to say, okay, we have to go for arbitration using number of so and so arbitrators, and we have to go for arbitration in the later stage. That if that particular clause is there in the contract, we can go and have arbitration somewhere else. And the selection of arbitrator is a simple thing you can read and understand when I show you Predict. And enforcement of the award. This is happening through New York Convention, which was 1958, if I'm not mistaken. That has been, as of recent last week, I think 1 month before, it was already signed by 153 countries. So once the New York Convention is considering, New York Convention will give you the opportunity, if you have a decision of arbitration in anywhere in the world, you can go to any country of out of these 153 countries and enforce the decision. If we take a decision about China and Sri Lanka case, as I explained before, we will take a decision, okay, China is wrong, we have to get that money back. So this decision coming from the arbitration in favor of Sri Lanka, we have to go to China and get his money. Okay, we go with our arbitration decision to China, and we find out China doesn't have any of the resources owing to that contractor. He has already shifted this to some other country. Now, the decision we can take and go to that country if that is within the New York Convention. We have signed this New York Convention, I think 2000, I can't remember, sorry about it. So Sri Lanka has signed it, and also many parts of the world, they have signed it. Mostly 153 countries signed, so that we can enforce the decision of arbitration coming, not like in court. Okay. So enforcement award, what is happening, there is a small thing you want to understand. When the arbitration is ongoing, what people will do, the construction company, what they will do, they will go and shift their resources to some other countries. Money in the account, they will take and put it somewhere else, which is not in New York Convention. Same like, if that is happening, what can be done? There is a procedure called in arbitration. You can go and get a early enforcement, which means you can request the arbitrator, Mr. Arbitrator, we find out that, you know, our client, our contractor is, you know, already putting his resources, shifting his resources out of the countries. We are not New York Convention, or our award can be enforceable. So please give a, you know, order not to move these resources. So in that way, we can stop happening that. So arbitration has a good process than litigation. Okay, guys, let us move. Basic step in arbitration, which I have already discussed. So making an agreement, initial process of demand the arbitration. These are you can read and understand. I will not going to talk about it. Criteria of selection the arbitrator, mutual consultation, match and qualified experienced person we have to find. Advantages and disadvantages, as I said before, this is the award. Award must be in writing. It must be legal and enforceable at law. As I said, it can be enforceable anywhere in the world if the New York Convention has been signed. Okay, these are things that you can, I have not put anything in red. If it is red, I am going to explain. The conclusion, arbitration is a legal technique for resolving of the dispute outside the court. The parties refer the dispute to the neutral, knowledgeable person, arbitrator or arbitral tribunal, who then gives the final decision award to which the both parties agree. The good thing about this one, these arbitrators are always people who have the knowledge about construction. As example, the problem is coming for a particular airport, we'll say, the arbitrators, we will select who has the knowledge about it. If we are talking about, we'll say another special event, a special thing like, you know, which involve nuclear construction, the arbitrators and the tribunal will come with that knowledge. So we will get the right decision. He will investigate the matter and give the right decision, not like court. Okay. So guys, I have hardly another 15 minutes. I have another topic to cover, but I will show you here. The dispute has been now clearly stated in FIDIC 2017. The parties make a claim against the other party. The other party reject the claim in whole or in part. Remember this one, in whole or in part as well. This is, as always, this is always used in FIDIC 2017, because the decision can be partly accepted by the other party. One part is not accepted. If one part is accepted, that part is still prevailing. The decision as it is, we can enforce it, but the other part cannot. So that part we can go to the next dispute resolution method. We will discuss a little bit quickly now. I'll tell you what are the dispute resolution method available in FIDIC 2017. One is the interiors determination. The first one under subclause 3.6 agreement of the determination, and depth clause 21.1 to 21.4 constitution of that. dispute adjudication and avoidance dispute avoidance board, okay, and the amicable settlement and arbitration. So let me show you this one, this attachment, because it is very difficult for me to cut and paste this thing into the presentation because it is that much. So I took these pages from the contract itself and try to give you an understanding here. Here, agreement or determination. Not like in PDIC 1999 version where the determination was there, as I remember. Okay, to be honest with you, I have not used PDIC contract for a long time. Like last time I used it was in 2015 for Mostly project where we used that one. But now I'm using bespoke contract, so I'm not into it, completely. But I can explain you. So when carrying out his duties in this suppose, the engineer shall, this is very important to note, the engineer shall act neutrally between the parties, shall not be deemed to act for employer. If you remember PDIC 1999 version, employer, engineer act as the agent of the employer. But in this case, it has been stopped only for the determination and agreement. When these conditions provided that the engineer shall be proceed under the subclause to agree or determine any matter or claim, the following procedures shall be applied. So he has to consult with both the parties and get a decision, okay, make an agreement between the parties for a particular matter. It can be a claim, it may be a simple decision, simple problem that bring to the engineer for resolution. So in that case, what the engineer will do, he will go to both the parties and discuss with them and try to bring up an agreement. If this agreement not reached within a reasonable time, that is, it is stated here, then we will move to the next one. I will explain now without going through the slides. Okay, basically the first step is engineer's decision or the agreement under this clause. Okay. So here engineer's determination first. If that fails within a particular time period, we will go to the dispute adjudication board. So the dispute adjudication board, they will give a decision within a particular time period. If that is not come into play and if it's not accepted by both the parties, we will keep them for 28 days, knowing the fact that the next step is very difficult with this arbitration. We will give them a time of 28 days to settle the dispute amicably. Where in this part of the world, once it's come to this stage, the problem will be resolved in the merger list, which we call the owners of the company. They will meet in the merger list, where it is the culture of these countries. You want to understand. Any person, any man who can, any native person who can go to a merger list of other person to discuss any matter. Their merger lists are open for merger list means the sitting room. Basically, the living room like ours, they have a separate setting. From their main house, they have a separate particular place set up for the merger list, where basically only the gents will go there and discuss and have a chat. Okay. So for this merger list, any person can go. So in such situation, owners of the big company, what they will do, okay, there's a big issue. The owners of the company, they will settle and they will come to a conclusion amicably, and the problem will not go to arbitration. So in a similar manner, as I said, for the engineer determination, there's time limit given in the condition of contract, and I will give you these two attachments which I have highlighted, where the important spaces. I don't have time to explain them in detail, but I have highlighted it for you. You can read and understand. I will show you now. An amicable settlement period, we have time for integer determination, if I'm not mistaken, 42 days. DAB decision 84 days, then the amicable settlement 28 days, then arbitration will go for whatever the time it will take. So arbitration, there's a clause in clause 21.6 to 21.8. It talk about the arbitration procedures, how to follow it, how the agreement is made. It is clearly mentioned in attachment 2. I'll just open it for you now. It is already here. These are the special situation. I have highlighted this item, underlined this item particularly for you, but I have some red marking like this. I will explain you these things because it is important. The matter shall be deemed to be a dispute which may be referred by either party to the debt if the decision under subclause so and so without need for NOD. Here, if the engineer does not give the notice of the disagreement, notice of the agreement or determination within the relevant time limit, in case of the claim or in case of any other matter, in the case of matter to be agreed or determined, the matter shall be deemed to be a dispute which may be referred to either party to the debt for the decision under the subclause 21.4. So as I say, we are discussing now the matter has come to engineer for a determination. He did not give a determination or he could not give agreement. So that what will happen, he can go to the next step without need for a notice of disagreement. No, NOD means notice of dissatisfaction. Okay, notice of dissatisfaction has to be issued under the particular clause. Okay, point 3.7.5. So without that one, he can go because the decision has not been given. Here it is explained the other situation where you can read and understand with this attachment. Okay, let us go. So these are the things particular importance for the tab. Okay, if no NOD is given by either party within the period of 28 days started in the subparagraph C about the determination of the engineer shall be deemed to have been accepted by both the parties shall be final and binding. So once the decision is given by the engineer or the agreement is given by the engineer, notice of dissatisfaction has to be issued by one party unless otherwise you want to bind by it. If you want to abide by the decision, you have to stay silent. You can stay silent. If you don't want that decision, you have to definitely issue notice of dissatisfaction within 28 days. So this is very important thing to note. If the dissatisfied party is dissatisfied with only one part of the engineer's determination, then he can do these things. As I said before, he can agree to the entire determination or the agreement or can agree to part of it. In either case, he can give the notice of dissatisfaction. When he is giving the notice of dissatisfaction, he can mention of the decision so and so particular portion I am agreeing to, other part I am not agreeing to, so I am going under clause 21.4 for the DAB, which means the dispute adjudication board, which we discussed under clause 21.56. Okay, right. This is the attachment 1. Let me show you the attachment 2 here. Dispute and arbitration. Here, how we deal with the dispute and arbitration, ADBA board. It has said everything in very much detail now, not like in PDC 1999 or the 87 version. Those procedures are well established here. Let me tell you about something starting from here. Constitution of the DAB. Constitution of the DAB, dispute shall be decided by the DAB according to the subclause 24.4. So DAB will be implemented according to these procedures. I have mentioned you the relevant clauses. Then they will establish the process. Failure to appoint a dispute adjudication board, these things will be happen. If there is no dispute adjudication board, it will be appointed by a party. Then the appointing entity or the official named in the contract shall be at request of the either both the parties, and the after due consultation with both the parties, the appointing the member, which means to say, so there will be a person, entity mentioned in the contract data sheet who is going to be appointing the dispute adjudication board in case of parties fail to appoint the dispute adjudication board. This can be then appointing entity or official name in the in the form. This is what it is mentioned here. Okay. Avoidance of dispute. Also, we can take the parties and get the agreement obtained in the BAB's decision. Okay, here is this important point coming under obtaining BAB's decision. Unless the contractor has already been abandoned or determined, the parties shall be continued to perform their obligation in accordance with the contract. Okay. Right, Nalin, I think I'm almost stuck in the time you have given without covering the other one. You want to say something? You will give me time.
No problem, Mr. Bulat. We can proceed with the other presentation as well. Prove that it will take a little bit time. Yeah, it's okay. We will be patient enough to go for the next presentation as well.
Yeah. So let me.
If you can summarize in single this arbitration part, yeah. If you can make a final summary, please.
So you can see my screen now, right? So basically, these are the clause. I will give you this attachment and the presentation, so you can have a look on that, understand if there's any issues. I will share my WhatsApp and email. You can send me any questions on this one, and you can ask me any question during the Q&A session. Let me quickly take you to another subject.
And Mr. Upul, that we observed that this presentation was very rich with the content. So I believe that you will give us the permission to share those presentation with the attendees, at least the PDF version.
Of course, it will, but you know, since the background is black, if I give you this one, you cannot print or anything. What I will do, I will give you in note format, which is very clear and you can understand with the attachment. There's no issues at all. But I want to clear up the attachment, removing the PD logos and all, because I cannot use them as is. So I'll clean them up and give you a day or two. I'll give you. So this subject I'm going about. This subject key to find a good job in Middle East. It is not my expertise, but since I'm here for last 22 years. I have helped with many people to develop their careers and come up with their CVs and find a good job. And that's exposures and all. I can give you a little bit of guidance. Maybe it will be helpful. About your CV, remember, I have seen many CVs coming up. After looking at the CV, straight away it is going to the dustbin. The reason being, you don't know how to use Word. You produce your CV using Word program, and there are many misalignment, there are many issues, and soon after seeing the layout of the CV itself, it will go to dustbin. One of my project director, he is always telling me, Sivpur, how can we go ahead with these CVs? This man doesn't know how to put his CV together with either PDF or either Excel. When he is converting that one into PDF, he didn't know how to do it properly. So he used originally in the Word format, it was in A4 format, but when he's converting it to PDF, it is format of letter. So the content automatically reduce and it will fix on the middle of the paper only. So your CV is going into dustbin. So guys, understand this. The first point you are embarking on a company is your CV. It is the crystal ball or the mirror of your life. If you don't get it done properly, you are not going to be successful. So make sure you develop your CV. I will try to give you a template which I downloaded from internet, do some adjustment with the time limitation. I could not do it properly, but it will give you some sort of guidance. I will show you in the way. And the project procedures, I'll talk in 5 minutes. The structure of the contractor documentation, 10 minutes. I'm not going to take this much time. I will try to minimize. And the cultural background, visa matters and school, selecting the company and the salaries. The last one is the very important one. Okay, about the CV. Okay, Middle East construction market. The resume has been the #1 requirement for employment. Before an employer will take valuable time to interview you, he or she want to meet you on your paper, which is the CV. How you impress that employer with your resume will make a difference in your life, for sure. Without a standout resume, you can't even be a competitor with the others, because your CV will go into dustbin without to speed. start to compete with the other person. So if you cannot do work with Word, find someone and get it done. That's all right, but make sure before you come here, you can work in Word. The second point, if you cannot do it, there are consultant who does that for you. You have to pay some money, get it done, but make sure you can work with Word and Excel and PowerPoint as well as in PDF. Because you are engineers, okay, you guys are coming and joining our teams or somewhere to do, starting from the feasibility studies to complete the project. You know, you have to understand our job market is starting from, actually I request Nalin to give me time to discuss with you about the building of the team, because I cannot put it here. How the team is building up, you want to understand that in a project, if you take basically a mega project, like if you take, I was in Dubai Mall for 3.5 years. If you take this this construction project, which was at the start 5 billion USD. In PMCM team itself, we had 325 people. There were 5 packages. 5 packages had different 5 project managers, project directors. Under them, there were 5 or 6 construction managers for each segment. Under them, project engineers. Under them, different discipline of people. Imagine project management team of 325 mean to say how many construction contractors people, how many subcontractors. So all of them, okay, everywhere you will get the job any place, okay, starting from the feasibility study, where the job will be starting in the auditor's office or the who you call it business consultant's office. They will develop the business model for the project. At that stage itself, the openings are there for engineers, QSers, and everybody. So your resume will be always developed to match the job that you are applying for. You have to have 1 or 2 CVs, 3 CVs ready. If you are applying for a project of PMCM company, you have to lay down that in a particular way than a contractor. If you are going for a contractor, it won't match with your PMCM contract job resume. Or also supervision consultant. If you are going for a supervision consultant, you have in such a way you have to develop. Right. Okay. With that, so always try to have a superior resume. That is very important. Okay. About the CV, keep it in short. Try to minimize your experience maximum into 2 pages, and I will show you a little bit of CV template. Nalin, don't ask me this one, but I will try to give it to you. Actually, this is a template I downloaded from web and try to do some adjustment to match it. Always see this is a CV template. You can make it this side. You put the address, phone numbers, email, LinkedIn, everything in here. This is one place you put your personal information just for initial contact. Then your other personal information should go to the bottom at the end. Somewhere here before the references. Okay, your personal details are coming up here. Further detailed information. If I show you this one, you have to say what you are looking for. Okay, what you are looking for. What is your profile? A summary of your experience and years of in the industry. Example, you will write vibrant person having so much experience with 30 million, worth of work you have done in the last something, and at the most of the CVs they will send it with this profile, but they will never say what they are seeking. You have to say what is your what are you seeking? Senior professional assignment as a project engineer, project manager, chief engineer, or a senior engineer. Remember one thing, in this part of the world, in Qatar at the moment, construction sort of coming to an end because of the FIFA World Cup, but there are a lot of opportunities for maintenance engineers, facility management engineers. If you are in the facility management field, yes, do your CV into that way and request for the job and try to go with it. Then you will talk about your skills, employment history, then you will go to here. You have to say what you can do, what are your special capabilities, construction, programming, OHS procedures, trading certificate carpenter, or whatever. This is, I took it from internet. It has to go, should not be there. Okay, trade qualified person, degree qualification. If you can do Arcanex and all construction management software, project management software and all, you have to say that. Okay, and then you will going to say about your employment history one by one, your previous roles, companies, responsibilities, and things. This is something we do when we are looking for. I'm working for a PMCM company. We do every time. In a month we do 1 or 2 interviews for our supervision consultant or the contractor's personnel to be appointed at the site. So when we see a CV, we automatically know what to do. My project manager or project director will come and say, pull right back to these guys and say reject it. The reason, they will especially say, what is this? It is not properly done. I'm not telling you this is properly done. I'm trying to show you what key things would be there. Okay, so this is the experience, and you have to mention the key project. This is the company. Okay, you are saying here senior site manager for this period, and you are telling about your role there, and you are putting something that you did here, and key projects information here with the values. So this will give me a good sight about you. Okay, this man has handled only 2 million worth of Qatar Riyal job in a carpenter company. I don't want to give him the job. I'm talking about 5 billion worth of project he cannot handle. So I'll straight away put it up. So in the same manner, if you put the right CV with the right experience and things, it will come up. If you have not managed big project, yes, you have to jump into a contractor and find out a job with a contractor with big values and come up. That is how we have to do. I'll discuss about those things. So this is a CV format. Then we go on discussing about your key projects. Then at the end, you will say about last thing. Then you are jumping to your qualification. Your formal qualification. Once you say qualification, there are many other qualifications you have to mention underneath that. Education, professional membership and affiliation, professional training, form of contracts and standard that you are familiar with, you have had training with, your researchers, your computer skill, everything is coming up here. Some people, what they do, they divided this one into 2, put your qualification in this side, and reading this side halfway. Okay, we are reading about your experience. It is disastrous sometimes. People will throw them, especially these senior project managers and all. They are very old. They will not read them when they see this is small thing. They will print and try to read it. No, I cannot read it. People try it. If possible, he's a good guy. I'll do my best. If it is a good guy, we will do it. Otherwise, he will go into us. Okay, then personal contacts and all. Okay, here one thing very important again. When you are writing about your computer skill, you think that I am writing my Word, Excel is not necessary. No, it is really necessary. If you don't know how to work with them, you are not going to succeed. Particularly about this first point, I put them for your understanding only. Prologue manager, constructware, Prologue manager 7, 8, 9 numbers over there. This is one of the ones I used before. Prologue, constructware, expedition, PM software, SAP, Oracle, Arcanex. These are project management tools, project management softwares that we use for day-to-day business of managing the project documentation. It is not a document management software. Believe me, it has all the project budget, project submittal procedures, project transmittal procedures, submitting the material approval. Everything can be built into this project management software. So it is very important you mention them. And about you guys are being engineers, particularly mention about your program management like Primavera and MS Office, MS project in Sri Lanka. That MS project is not used here. If you can mention about your Primavera, that will be very good. And since you guys are engineers, project managers, one day you are going to be project managers, project directors of the project. You will be working on with the organization chart. So you have to have a knowledge about MS Visio or sort of program where we can develop organization charts. Organization charts are coming in not only project management, but also in consultant, contractors. Contractors has huge project management structure. If you are being a planning engineer, you don't know how to use Visio on some sort of program that can be used to develop organization chart, there is no use. People will not hire you. Okay, so skills. Then personal information, references. Some people say you are trying to be the big boss now, and you are saying references on request. Why I want to come back and request from you the references? No, I'll straight away put it away. Because sometimes some companies, particularly client organization, before they call you for the first interview, they will touch on these people and see whether you can be hired. Because it is huge money involvement, and so that they want to hire the people with the correct qualities and correct qualifications. So always try to keep your references. Okay, that's about the CV. I took more time in there. Let me close it. Right, procedure manuals, general specification. Okay, once you embark on a project, it is very important that you read the project documentation. Being an engineer or being a quantity surveyor or being a construction manager or anybody, you want to know the project procedure manual. I have seen during last 7 sessions, you have asked some question about how to do that, how to do this, how to do this. You guys are asking the people how to do it. You don't want to ask anybody. If you come to this part of the world, those are well written into the procedure manuals. Maybe it is not available in Sri Lanka. I have no idea about the Sri Lankan construction market last 20 years. But in my time, I was there for 1 year. Yes, you are correct. It is not to be found. You are copy and pasting from some other projects, so the information are not there. So general specification and specification not that important, but once you embark on a project, make sure you read the project procedure manual as well as the general specification. General specification will tell you what is the way to submit a transmittal, what is the way to send a inspection request, what is the way to send a material approval. Everything will clearly written. In the procedure manual, it will talk about how to submit a claim, how to submit a payment, how to submit a variation, how to submit anything you want. Okay, this is very important to understand. And also communication protocol, to whom to reach out to. If you are sending an email, to whom to send that email to, in which company, whom you should be copied. I am sending an email to my client organization. My direct point of contact is the either commercial manager or the commercial director. When I am sending an email to him, I want to copy some people in there. That information is mentioned in this communication protocol. Once you take the communication protocol, basically it is coming in Excel format. It will tell you the name of the organization, and first column it will tell you which. I don't have something to share with you, really sorry. Even I have it, I cannot share it with you because of the confidential information. So I can show you a format. If I get a chance, I will add it to the attachment for your information. In the communication protocol, it will mention in the first column to whom it should be addressed. In the second column, to whom it should be CC. And in the next column, it will be mentioning about the document controllers who should be definitely get a copy. Likewise, it will give you the email addresses, then to follow up numbers, and everything will be in there in this communication protocol. So you don't want to go and ask anybody if you read your documentation given to you when we embark on the project. So if you are working if you are joining for a PMCM company or employer, you will see something called project management plan, PMP, which has all the information you want to know. This document will be submitted by the PMCM company or the supervision consultant company at the start of the project. If the PMCM company is not there, PMP will be submitted by the engineers company, which is the consultant. In this document, you will find out all the procedures, authority approval requirement, what you will follow, which form you should follow, everything will be in there. I can show you a sample. As he said, I can have some time in here. Let me show you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Mr. Put, yeah.
Okay, this is a content page. This is a content page of a project management plan. Okay. Actually, I cannot share with you PMP, but I can show you the content page. This is the content page. It will talk about the project scope, project program, location of the project structure, employer, client, PMCM, consultant, all the information. In addition to that, communication management, purpose of that project documentation and communication, how it should be filled, what is the way to reference a document, everything will be mentioned in there. So communication protocol, transmittal protocol, contract administration procedures, the entire procedure will be in there. Okay, though these numbers here, page number, you can see very little. At the end, you will see how many numbers in there. Meeting procedures, reporting procedures, project stakeholders management procedures, procurement management process, design management process, and the management procedure, construction management process, permit and authority approvals. Being engineers, this is one very important point for you to know the procedures. Saying like, one good thing we want to say you, okay, we are being the, people of the pre-education of Sri Lanka. We have the background of Sri Lankan education system, though people blame it. We can think many steps back and forward, but many other nations, I mean, in this part of the world, they cannot think back and forward like we do. Those sort of people are coming from little bit from India and Pakistan. Not other nation can do that. So that if you know your procedures, approval, permit, authority approval procedures, you can be a engineer and you will go in your ladder like nothing. Within 2-3 years, you will be a PM, you will be a project director. So you are talking about good salaries there. Okay. Then management procedures, all the stages, cost management plans, and risk management plan, program management plan, everything will be in there in the first set, health management procedures and all in there. In the first 140 to 200 pages, it will talk about where to refer to, where to go and find. Then there will be attachment. So this will run into 200 pages. Then these appendices will run up to nearly 1,000 pages. This is one of the project I was involved recently, not the current project. There it was a small project which we did, it was like 1,000 pages. We don't want to read these pages completely, full document, but you want to have a glance and understand where they are. You want to know where to refer to when you want to do something. Right, මගේ සිංහල එක මම කියන්නම් මේක ඉවරනාට පස්සේ මම කතා කරන්නම් ඒක කියන structure of the contract document. This is something I was thought to do, but I could not get the information required from Oman, UAE and Saudi. I requested from some of my friends. I could not get the proper documentation to show you. So I'll show you one documentation from Qatar. Okay, the contract document not contain the requirements same like in FIDIC document that we are talking about. It is completely different from client to client. They have their own format, their own way of presenting the information. I'll show you one document. This is full document, contract document. It includes all the technical information, contractual information, as well as drawing and all the money related matters. This is consisting of 4 volumes. The volume has been developed into these sections. Then it will go into detail. So the volume 1 will give you the form of agreement and general condition. And volume 2 will give you the scope of work. How the scope, this is one particular development. Okay, don't think all the contract document coming in the same way that you do for FIDIC condition of contract in Sri Lanka. No, once you embark on a project, once you go to a project, you should be investing minimum 2 to 3 weeks to read this document and get an idea. That is where your success is coming in. If you get a job, I will tell you in a little bit later, these things have to be read and understand. You have to get an idea. You have been a Sri Lankan, I know definitely you can do that, because this layout had to be in your memory. You can, okay, understand, you can remember, okay, the HSC procedures was written in scope of work. I want to refer to that document and get the information. Being an engineer, you know that information before PM find it. PM can be somebody coming from a different country. He is not remembering. Even today, when we go into our project, I had 2-3 contract administrators. At the moment, I have only one with me because we are coming to the end of the project. Within another 2 months, we want to open the project that I am working for, FIFA World Cup, one of the commercial development, which there are 18 buildings are there. So even today, our project director, actually the project manager at the moment, he was with the project for 4 years. The project manager is 4 years with us. Even today, he is either coming to me or my contract administrator to ask about Upul, from where I can buy beam model, where it is available, in which volume, where I want to wait. So without looking into document, I can say, okay, you go to Appendix A and you refer to the appendix, you will find this. You will find the attachment, the last or somewhere last. That information is good enough for him because this document, this particular document containing nearly 70,000 plus printed document plus a e-copy which contain the references like 35 GBs. References in the sense, those are coming from different authority requirement, different requirement from the developer. Those requirements are given as e-copies only. It should be mentioned somewhere here about the e-copy. I will show you. No, fortunately, no, not here. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you, so scope of work, which define the general requirement, particular specification, health requirement, quality requirement, and all the appendices. These are big document, right? Big, huge document. QRail requirement, QRail in the sense, Qatar rail, and beam model requirements. Then moving to scope of work, continuation. This is the drawing sector where you have all the things. Then come into the appendices. Appendix B talk about the money part. It will have the bill of quantities. Then move into insurance requirement and Appendix C. Appendix C, contract technical requirement, contract execution plan, administrative procedures. Okay, form, advance payment, and the guarantees and warranties formats are given here. So this is a basic contract document from one of the client here. Okay, there are governmental procedures. If you look into PWA, you can download and see. I didn't have time to take those things and put it here due to these days too much busy working schedule because of the project closure. Okay. Okay, cultural background. I'll talk with this one in 1-2 minutes. Actually, I have told you the things. I won't tell something about this part of the world. There are different nationalities. If you are going to a project, you will have different people coming, different way of talking. Something when we talk with them, they don't understand what we are trying to say. Our culture will definitely not go with them. Our way of talking sometimes will not go with them. You have to understand how they behave, what is their background, what these people prefer, what these people like to see. But if particularly in this part of the world, the hand signs, those are, by law, these signs. If you put these things, if you put your hand like this, if you give a hand like this, these things are really offensive. By law, you can be punished. So you want to understand a little bit about the culture of the country where you are talking, and you have to go and deal with these people nicely. Don't be arrogant if you embark on the project. You have to keep your head down for some time, but don't, you have to absorb, you have to get the exposure, you have to get the experience. Otherwise, you will be easily kicked out. You have to deal with people very nicely. Don't believe me, there are very, very rare occasion the people will play politics. If you are not a person who will go and give the trouble to other people, they will not play politics to remove you or to trouble you. You are the person going in there as a new person. Once you go there, you have to make sure you make them happy first before you embark with them. So this is something very important to say. Cultural and event and the belief of them. In the office, you have to understand these things. If you are embarking on a new project, huge mega project, you will definitely find native English speakers. You will never understand their language in one go. Because if you meet up with a Scottish person, the way he talks, if you meet up with a Irish person, the way he talks, if you come up with a Portugal or a Italian man, the way they speak is completely different. We can understand some languages, we cannot understand some languages. So those people, they actually speak the real language, so that we don't know whether they are speaking English or some other language. So we have to train your ear to listen to these things. So try to watch some English movies or pure good English movies or some program to train your ear before you come here. It is very important. and try to understand about the Arabic culture and know. And when you are writing, never say no. As I said, try to find out the available information and reject it later. If you get a question from someone, if you say something for you to do it, never say no in the first glance. No, you know that you cannot do it, but never say no. Just okay, I will try to find it, and you go and find the information, and you collect some information what is available for you to resolve the problem, and go with that information and tell him politely, Mr. So and so, this is the available information to do what you said. I need this, and this. Otherwise, I cannot resolve your problem. If you reject it, knowing the fact in your mind already, I cannot do it on the spot, it is like offense. So they will not like it. When you are writing an email, letter or minutes of meeting, as I said, we have to always refer to the communication protocol, which I talked in the previous slides. How to get idea, how you write it, how you do it, and writing a letter, email is something very important for engineering. You have to write emails. You are on the emails all day. If you are not a site person, you are a site person. You will go to the site and come back. In your office, you have to work in your computer and send emails, get the things done through Arconnexes and project management software. Document and issue management. This is something very important. How do you manage your documentation? As example, issue management, something, concept that I use. Mostly some people haven't seen this one. I use this technique to manage my documentation. As example, I'm getting some issues recently. I got an issue. One of the building got flooded due to break of an irrigation pump. Now I have created a folder for that particular subject. Any document, any letter, any email, actually not the email, only the document, any letters or any transmittal, something coming for this particular one, I will automatically sort it to that particular folder in my desktop. Okay, there is a different system in the office for me to go and find out the documentation. Since I am a commercial guy, same like you are engineers, once you come in, you will find different issues that coming up at site. So you want to manage the issue, particularly until you resolve that issue, you have to keep collecting your information in a single place. Don't try to use your email or your constructor or your project management software to find the basic information to resolve that particular subject. Keep the issue management folder always. Now I am reaching to like 300, 400 files in my computer for this current project, where I have managed different issues. If I click on one single folder, I will find relevant clauses, relevant information, relevant letters, everything in that folder. You have to think out of box and get something to go up in your letter. Okay, project management software, Arconnect, Prolog and all I told you about before. All right, visa matters, bachelor's visa. Okay, you talk about the finding jobs with Dinuk, I believe, last time in you talk. So to find out a job, the best way, first develop your CV. As I said, come and stay here. Come on a visit visa. You have to spend some money. Find a good person, good friend who can help. Find the correct country to go at the moment. At the moment, the best place, you don't believe it, maybe the Saudi is the best place to go. The Saudi has been drastically changed. I am visiting Saudi as a project director for some projects there, so I know the country. When we go there now, it is much developed in cultural as well as in other background, because recent development in there has brought up a completely different change. So it is a good place to go and find a job at the moment. Apart from that, Qatar is sort of stand still at the moment due to the FIFA World Cup happening November, December. Other than that, UAE is little bit okay, as I heard, and also Oman is sort of in the mid, not booming. Bahrain also same. Kuwait also some sort of going on well, but I don't know much about it. And the family visa in school, as an engineer, once you come here, you will easily bring your family if you are married. When you are bringing up family, you want to have your own house. Basically, house will, if you take, I heard from Dinuka last week, normally 400 real, 400 UAE dirham a month will give you a reasonable 2-bedroom apartment. When you are thinking of your salary, you have to think of those things. What is your expenses for the housing, schooling, if you are planning to bring up your family. If they are giving the sponsorship, if they are not giving family sponsorship built into your package, think about your schooling fees, think about your housing, think about your vehicle, think about all these expenses before you negotiate your package. Okay, as I said, finding a job, take a visa and come and stay here for 2-3 months. You will definitely got a job if you are the right talent. As I said, if you have the right documentation built up with you. Okay, that's something to add. The other ways to find the job, basically you will get from friends. If you have some good friends, okay, they will definitely find you a job where you can go and start. Basically, when you are looking into the job market, you will find good jobs in contractor, consultant, PMCM, then the developer. Then the developer, in the sense, he is the owner of the project. If you embark on contractor or PMCM company, you will have the chance to get the knowledge of the entire project cycle of the project. If you embark on a consultant, PMC, I mean the supervision consultant or design consultant, or if you are embarking, if you are going for a project with job with employer also, you will get to understand the entire project cycle sometimes as engineers, but engineers are kept for a particular purpose only, so you will not get the chance. But if you go to a PMCM company, being an engineer, you will involve from 10-day stage to close out the project, as well as during the feasibility study stage, PMCMs are involved, so you will get the full knowledge. The contractor also, he will get at the 10-day stage, from 10-day stage to the construction completion. After construction completion, defect liability period and all, they will not get much experience as engineers. So good place to learn is PMCM company. Try to join, start with somewhere with the engineering contractor, or make sure. That's something I want to say. When you are looking for a job, find out about the company. There are many companies, they don't pay your salaries on time. Some companies, they don't pay your salary for 7-8 months. There are companies in Qatar, sorry to say that, they have not get paid for a long time. But eventually they have to go to labor court, they have to go to some places and get your salaries. Before you sign a job offer, find out one or two friends from the particular country, or ask about the particular company and get the knowledge of these companies. Those companies who don't pay salaries, they will give you good salaries. While the other good companies, good reputable companies paying, as example, 10,000 Qatar Riyal, those companies give you 18,000. But once you embark on the project, you will never get your salary for 7-8 month only. Some portion will be paid for just for to live. So this is very good thing you want to think. It is better you join a good reputed international contractor, consultant, or PMCM company. Normal less than 2,000-3,000 less than the normal market range, and go to a good job and good exposure. Then you will have the opportunity within 1 or 2 years to find a good job. So it is very important you find a good company first. Okay, moving on, select on the company. I have already spoken about this one. So job hunting, Saudi UAE, this is the order. As I said, contractor, consultant, PMCM, where we will going to get the things. Okay, these are the way to find. Visit with or referred by a friend, applying through agencies, website, newspapers. Overseas Professional Association, send in emails like IQSSS, IESL. Remember, you being engineers, you have branches here. Try to find out the your branch here. I think Rohana is the IESL chairman here in Qatar, as I remember. No, he was the previous one. So find out those people. They can give you the correct information. Even in Saudi, there is association, IESL. You can get good referral for the job from those professional people. Okay. Right. With that, guys, that is the end of my other presentation. Thank you very much. I exceeded 40 minutes. I'm really sorry, but I was trying to do my best for you guys. Thank you very much. Over to you, Malik.
No problem. Yes, no problem. And I highly appreciate Engineer Ukul. And I think that we had sort of consideration whether we are we are over timing, like it's about 9:14 in our country here in Sri Lanka. But I know for a fact that being a family person, you are spending your weekend and your Sunday evening, which would have spent otherwise with your family. So thank you very much, Engineer Uppul. And not only just the presentation today, and we have seen a rich content of your presentation. So you might have done a lot of homeworks collecting and compiling all the data. So thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, I myself experiencing power cut, therefore I'm not going to switch on the video. So we would like to thank Engineer Uppul for your contribution, and thank you very much for the whole audience. And we have certain limitations, especially with this Zoom platform. We have to stop by 9:45. Therefore, I would like to give 1 minute to 1 or 2 minutes opportunity to Engineer Uppul to make some final remark in Sinhalese to this Sri Lankan community. Then we'll conclude the session. And all your question and questions we'll take into our WhatsApp group. You can send your questions to the WhatsApp group. Then we will get these questions answered by Uppul a little later. And please join with us in the WhatsApp groups. So we'll communicate through. Engineer Uppul, you can make your final remarks in Sinhalese.
What I'll do for those questions, okay, once you send the question, I'll send you a voice cut explaining it, or I'll try to write it so that you can distribute to the group. And the final remark I want to say.
Thank you very much.
I'm really glad to be with you tonight, and it is a great opportunity for me to serve our mother nation. We have been Sri Lankan. We want to save our country for sure. It is the right time that you, as learned people, should come out and try to do something for our country. And meanwhile, please remember what I said. This is not the entire thing. It is not the comprehensive thing, but I was trying to cover everything possible. So you have to allocate some time from your personal life and from your entertainment, and try to build up your CVs and try to build up your communication, try to build up your, as I heard that you are doing a Toastmaster Club, try to build up your own knowledge and go out. Once you come here, Middle East, it is the gateway to any other part of the world. You can go to anywhere in the world. If you want to go to Europe, if you want to go to Australia, the path will come automatically once you embark here. So take your time, try to invest some time and do your best for your career, particularly for the young engineers, but also who are experienced. I know there are some experienced people here. They are the right people to come here quickly because they know something from Sri Lanka already. They got experience. Believe me, up to 55 years of age, up to 60 years of age, no problem. Say 55 is, up to 55 is, there is no problem at all, but up to 60, yes, you can come here. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave the forum to Nalin and others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Uppul, and thank you very much. And the whole audience, on behalf of CECB, I would like to thank you all, and please be in touch with us, and then we will guide you how to obtain your certificate. And there are some good news. Even the training unit is now in the process of considering not the 100% attendance, because we know for a fact that there were certain power cuts, signal failures, and people couldn't attend continuously. But what we recommend is not just to obtain the certificate, but please follow all the YouTube links, and you can go from session 1 to 8. Everything is archived there, so you have the access. And there are a lot of programs planned even in the future. So please be in touch. And you have been a great audience throughout these all 8 sessions. And I would like to thank all the people especially from the CECB side, the training unit, and people who work behind these screens, helping us to continue and have this fruitful session throughout. And we have touched sometimes over 1,500 attendance at the early stages. Not only this Zoom platform, but we have the YouTube live streaming as well. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being a nice audience, and please keep in touch. I'm signing off as Nalin De Silva, and we'll be meeting from different sessions in the future. So please keep in touch and have a good night. Thank you. Good night. Thank you, Engineer Uppul.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.